Divine message revealed, you've manifested miracles after 7 days of faithful prayer. In the heart of Hopewell, where the hills rolled gently against the sky, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. A mother, a wife, a beacon for her family, yet her faith was flickering like a candle in the wind. Surrounded by the warmth of the community, her life took a turn that felt like a storm with no end in sight. Her husband had lost his job. Her precious daughter was battling a mysterious illness that left doctors scratching their heads in confusion. Despair lurked in the corners of her mind, threatening to swallow her whole. She needed hope, a divine anchor amidst the turmoil and the stillness of the evening. Sarah found comfort in the church that stood as a pillar of hope for the townsfolk. It was a sacred place, filled with the echoes of generations seeking guidance and solace through prayer. It was here that she stumbled upon her grandmother's prayer journal, laying like a treasure amongst family keepsakes. As she flipped through the pages, she felt warmth envelop her, a divine embrace through her grandmother's unwavering faith. It ignited something deep within Sarah. Inspired, she organized a week of devoted prayer at the church, inviting families to join her in seeking God's intervention. As the first night unfolded under flickering candlelight, a palpable energy thrummed through the air. Each prayer spoken was like a spark, igniting hope. Sarah felt the collective heartbeat of the church resonating with every whispered need. Families clutched their loved ones, some shedding tears of desperation, others letting go of years of burdens. But as the days wore on, doubt crept in. Sarah watched her daughter's condition worsen, leaving her heart heavy with uncertainty. What if God had grown distant from them? On the 6th night, despair choked her voice as she pleaded, Lord, I have come to the end of my own strength. Please, show us your love and mercy. The air thickened with tension, silence enveloping the room, and it was then a gentle breeze rushed in, carrying the sweet scent of hope. Light flickered, illuminating faces, filling hearts with warmth. A quiet whisper echoed through the congregation, I am here. It was as if the very walls of the church held their breath, wrapping them in a cocoon of divine presence. Families grasped hands tighter, eyes closed in fervent belief. Suddenly, one by one, miracles began to unfold. A young boy, once unable to walk, stood upright, a joyful shout ripping through the silence. Tears streamed down the faces of those around him as they witnessed the impossible. A woman who had battled depression for years found a release, laughter bubbling forth like a spring of living water. And amid the miraculous transformations, Sarah's daughter felt a shift deep within her soul, a clarity, a revelation that transcended mere healing. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the miracles unfolded, a sweet peace settled over the church. Everyone was filled with the kind of joy that could only be described as heavenly. Despite the victories, Sarah felt an unsettling question rise within her. What if this was just the dawn of a much greater journey? A deeper understanding that was about to unfold, hidden in their suffering, waiting to be revealed. The atmosphere crackled with the excitement of divine mystery, leaving them eager for what the next chapter would bring. How would this journey transform their lives, and what awaited them just beyond this miraculous moment? The following days bloomed with a soft light, a balm for weary souls. Sarah arrived at the church just before dawn, the air crisp with the promise of new beginnings. She held her daughter's small hand, feeling the warmth radiate from their connection, a lifeline of love in an ever-unfolding story of hope. As they sat on the old wooden pews, Sarah's heart was full, yet it felt like a fragile balloon floating in a vast sky. The miracles they had witnessed did not remove the weight of her worries. Instead, they opened a door to a deeper dimension of faith. What is this new path, God? She whispered, the words carried like prayers on the wings of the wind. The dawn chorus sang sweetly as the congregation began to gather, their faces reflecting a tapestry of emotions. Hope sparkled in their eyes, yet shadows of uncertainty danced behind them. There was a buzz in the air, a spiritual expectancy that crackled like electricity. Would the tide of blessing continue, or would trials return to test them once more? As sunlight poured through the stained glass, painting the room in vibrant hues, the pastor stepped forward, his voice steady and warm. Friends, we enter a season of revelation. God has shown us his power. Now, our eyes must be open to the deeper truths hidden within this journey. With every shared testimony that spilled forth from the congregation, hearts were stirred. A man shared how he had been delivered from addiction, a woman spoke of relationships mended, and children thanked God for the healing they felt in their hearts. Each story built upon the last, a beautiful testament to the transformative power of prayer. Yet within Sarah, the struggle persisted. Her daughter's condition still weighed heavily on her mind. Her little girl had found peace amid the chaos, yet part of her longed for more permanence, complete healing. Sarah leaned closer to her daughter, tracing her fingers through her hair as a sudden realization wrapped around her heart like a warm quilt. Perhaps the miracles were not solely in the physical realm. Perhaps God was weaving a stronger tapestry of character, resilience, and faith within them all. In that moment, realization turned into resolve. What if the challenges they faced were shaping them, refining their faith like gold in the fire? After the service, Sarah gathered with the families, sharing a simple meal. They laughed and prayed, weaving stories of both pain and triumph. Each laugh echoed with the paths they walked, each prayer connected their spirits in a profound unity. It was evident that every struggle shared was a thread in the larger tapestry of divine purpose. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in pastel colors, Sarah's daughter tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, I feel something important is coming. I don't know what, but I can sense it." A shiver of divine anticipation coursed through Sarah. Her little girl's spirit was awakened, a prophetic whisper in the quiet of the evening. "What do you think it is, sweetheart?" Sarah asked, her heart leaping with mixed emotions, both anxiety and excitement blending together. "I think we're just beginning," her daughter replied simply, the sincerity of her words carrying an old wisdom beyond her years. Sarah's heart swelled, ignited by her daughter's faith. She felt her own flickering flame begin to burn brighter, sparking with a new fervor. They were indeed just beginning a journey filled with divine surprises, unfolding mysteries, and a deeper connection to God than she had ever imagined. The night was alive with possibilities, and Sarah felt invigorated, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, hand in hand with her family. But as she looked up at the twinkling stars, a restless question lingered on her mind. What profound lessons awaited them on this journey? And what would unfold as their faith continued to deepen? As the days turned into a week, Sarah and her daughter continued to attend the church services, each gathering bringing a sense of renewal. Sarah felt like a seedling sprouting new leaves, grasping for the sun. Each testimony shared in the congregation deepened her understanding how individuals had faced storms only to find tranquility on the other side. Their faith was a lighthouse, guiding lost ships back to shore. One evening, as they walked home hand in hand, Sarah sensed a gentle nudge in her spirit. The kind of nudge that pulls at your heartstrings, beckoning you to pay attention. "Mommy," her daughter said, breaking the silence, "I think God is speaking to us. Can you feel it?" "Yes, dear," Sarah replied, marveling at her child's sensitivity to the divine. "What do you think he is saying?" "I think he wants us to trust more, to believe there's something amazing coming our way." Her daughter smiled, her eyes alight with a shiny hope. From that moment on, Sarah sought ways to nurture that trust. Even in the trials, she began to see glimmers of joy, a smile from her daughter, the warmth of a shared laugh, and the beauty of the world around them. She started keeping a journal, writing down every blessing, however small. When worry threatened to cloud her mind, she reread the passages, feeling the gratitude bloom in her heart. On the seventh day of their renewed journey, the pastor invited everyone to gather for a special evening service titled Embracing the Unexpected. The atmosphere in the church was electric, a sense of urgency pulsed through the room. Sarah and her daughter settled into their usual pew, excitement bubbling like a wellspring as they waited for the evening to unfold. As the pastor preached, the words became a flow of living water, washing over the congregation. Tonight, we testify to God's surprises, the gifts He has been preparing for those who believe. His voice resonated, inviting everyone to open their hearts. Suddenly, a hush fell. The air shifted, and the pastor felt a stirring in his spirit. "There are those here who have prayed for miracles," he declared, his voice unwavering. "God has heard you. He has seen your faith, and new beginnings are sprouting like spring flowers." The congregation erupted in songs and praises, voices rising like incense, mingling with the delicate notes of worship. Sarah's heart raced. Could it be that something was indeed ready to break forth? As she watched her daughter sway with the music, a profound peace settled over her. It was as if every worry was being carried away by the melody, leaving behind a pure, radiant faith. In that sacred moment, Sarah felt a gentle hand upon her shoulder. She turned to find an older woman standing beside her, her eyes filled with wisdom. "Dear child, you are not alone," she spoke softly. "Your faith is about to bear fruit in ways you cannot imagine. Prepare your heart for the miraculous." Those words wrapped around Sarah like a warm embrace. She closed her eyes, surrendering her uncertainties to the Lord. The presence of God enveloped her, and she felt the stirring of something new, a promise of transformation. With every word of encouragement in the sanctuary, she realized that she was not just a mere observer, she was a partaker in this divine unfolding. As the service came to a close, a profound silence fell again. Just before they were to depart, the pastor raised his hand, eyes glistening with a profound sincerity. "Remember this moment, for God is about to reveal something extraordinary. Trust in His timing, for miracles are on the horizon." Sarah walked out of the church feeling renewed, gripping her daughter's hand tighter. They stepped into the cool night, stars twinkling in majestic wisdom. But even as joy filled her, a question lingered in her heart like the faint echo of a chime: what would this miracle look like, and when would it unfold? What divine whispers awaited them in the shadows of their faith journey? The glow of the street lamps seemed to shimmer with a renewed light as Sarah and her daughter walked home, their hearts full of hope. Each step felt lighter, as if the burdens they'd carried for so long were beginning to lift. Yet, the question lingered, nestled deep within her, a heart whisper she couldn't shake off. What did the divine message mean? What miracles awaited them? That night, Sarah lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She recalled her daughter's eager declaration during the service about trusting in God. How comforting to know that her little girl could feel His presence so profoundly. Sarah turned to the journal she had started a week ago, the pages filled with manifestations of gratitude and dreams yet to be realized. She opened it, the spine creaking softly. Under the dim light, she began to write. "God, I feel it too, something incredible is on its way. Help me be patient, help me prepare." The stars watched over her, a silent reminder of God's promises, each one gleaming like tiny miracles in the vastness of the universe. She closed her eyes, feeling the fabric of hope weave around her. As she drifted into a peaceful slumber, a vivid dream unfolded. She found herself at the shore, waves crashing in rhythm, almost singing encouragement. Each wave that kissed her feet was a reassurance that they were not merely waiting, they were in the midst of something powerful. Days turned into another week. Sarah and her daughter continued to immerse themselves in church activities, serving alongside others who shared in their faith journey. Every small act was invested with significance: a meal prepared for a family in need, a prayer shared, a smile exchanged. They were becoming part of the very fabric of their community, and with each moment, their hearts grew. One midweek evening, Sarah felt a nudge again, but this time, it was different. It was sharper, an unmistakable call to action. "Let us go see Ms. Clara," she suggested to her daughter, recalling the older woman's words from the service. "She may need some company." Ms. Clara lived alone in a modest home at the edge of town, a place where the garden seemed abandoned, yet hints of forgotten beauty remained. As they knelt to help her tend to what was left of her flower beds, they laughed, shared stories, and prayed together. Ms. Clara spoke freely of her past and how she had once been part of community projects that flourished. Sarah was captivated by her spirit. Sometimes, what we need isn't a miracle of wealth or grandeur, but the simple act of togetherness, Ms. Clara said, planting seeds while Sarah helped. Nurturing relationships can yield the most divine harvest. In that moment, something shifted within Sarah. A new understanding blossomed. The miracle wasn't solely about what would come to her but also about what she could give. Her heart danced as she realized, perhaps the waiting was a time for preparation. Maybe they were called to be vessels of change, sowing faith into the lives of others. As they finished the day and walked home, the air buzzed with possibility. Smiling, her daughter asked, "Do you think we can help others more? Like Ms. Clara?" "Yes, darling, we can," Sarah exclaimed, her spirit soaring. "The more we share love, the more we help each other feel the divine." The stars sparkled brighter that night, echoing the energetic promise that change was indeed in the air. With each act of kindness, they were stirring the ground for the seeds of faith. They had become a part of a living tapestry woven with hope, joy, and trust, yet Sarah felt the tug in her heart again, something deeper. What more did God have in store for them? Would their small gestures lead to something more significant, a ripple effect of divine love? As they settled in for the night, the question hung in the air, shimmering like the stars outside, what awaited them as they walked into this new chapter of their journey? As dawn broke, Sarah felt the warmth of a new day embrace her. The light seeped through the curtains, inviting a sense of renewal. Today was Sunday, the sacred day that always filled her with a deep sense of purpose. She watched her daughter, energetically jumping out of bed, ready to welcome another church gathering with vibrant joy. "Are you excited, Mama?" her daughter asked, her eyes sparkling with innocence. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, her heart swelling. Today felt different. Today, they were not just attending a service, they were participants in a miracle unfolding. The church was alive with voices singing praises, melodies rising like incense to heaven. Sarah felt the weight of the week lift as they entered. Together, they joined hands with familiar faces, sharing smiles that whispered of hope. The sermon began, and the pastor's voice resonated with wisdom. He spoke of the stillness before breakthroughs, capturing Sarah's attention. "Sometimes, God asks us to pause and listen," he said. "He prepares us in silence for what is to come." Sarah leaned forward, her heart racing. Could this be another divine nudge? The timing began to weave into something much deeper. She felt her spirit align with the message. After the sermon, they gathered in small groups for prayer. As Sarah laid her hands on a fellow church member battling illness, she felt the weight of her connection, as if something powerful was coursing through them. It was a moment of shared vulnerability and faith. The prayers were soft whispers, each one lifting into the ether, filled with desire and devotion. Afterward, while her daughter chatted with friends, Sarah took a step outside, feeling the cool breeze on her face. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and sent a silent prayer upward. "God, guide me. Show us what it means to be your hands and feet." Just then, an elderly gentleman approached her, his eyes reflecting a mix of sorrow and hope. "Excuse me," he said, "I heard you praying for someone just now. Would you pray for me?" He explained that he had recently lost his wife and was struggling with grief. With tears welling in her eyes, Sarah felt a surge of compassion. She placed her hands on his shoulders. "Of course," she replied gently, and they sank into prayer together. As they prayed, Sarah could sense the divine love enveloping them, moving in ways that were beyond explanation. In that sacred moment, Sarah was aware of the purposes that unfurled as they lifted each other up. It wasn't just the healing of one soul but the interconnectedness of all hearts clinging to faith. Later that afternoon, on the way home, Sarah's daughter started humming a sweet melody, something she had felt inspired to create. "Listen, Mama, it's our song of hope." The innocence in her voice stirred something profound within Sarah. "What if we sang it at church next week?" Sarah suggested excitedly. "Yes. Then everyone can feel the joy." Her daughter exclaimed. Sarah smiled, seeing a vision blooming, a community coming together through song, through love. But that tug at her heart returned, stronger now. What lay ahead in their journey? Were their small acts merely scratching the surface of something larger? That evening, she opened her journal again, the pages waiting with eager anticipation. God, as we prepare for what's next, help us to remain open. What miracles must we embrace? What changes must we welcome? With each word she penned, she felt a stirring, a gentle pull leading her towards the unknown. And so the question lingered in her heart, a whisper weaving through the quiet of her home. What could manifest from their faith in the coming days? What wonders awaited just beyond the horizon of their wishes? The stars glittered above, and as her head finally hit the pillow, Sarah drifted into slumber, yearning for clarity on the miracle that awaited them. The sun rose again, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink. Sarah awoke with a renewed sense of eagerness threading through her. The questions from the night before spun in her mind, each one whispering of potential and promise. What awaited them? She found her daughter at the kitchen table, doodling on a piece of paper, a glow of creativity surrounding her. "Good morning, love," Sarah said, pouring a cup of coffee. "Good morning. I think our song is ready. It's going to be magical, Mama." Her daughter's excitement danced in the air, a sweet reminder that faith sometimes wore the guise of a child's enthusiasm. "Yes, I believe it will be," Sarah replied, her heart buoyed by the anticipation of sharing their melody with their community. But as the morning wore on, the thought of the past week loomed in her mind, fragile moments of connection woven together with silent prayers. After breakfast, they decided to visit the elderly gentleman from church. Sarah hoped to offer encouragement amidst his sorrow. Armed with homemade cookies and hugs, they made their way to his modest home. As they approached, the door opened, revealing a smile mixed with surprise and warmth. "You came!" he exclaimed, the shadows of grief momentarily brightened by their presence. "Of course. We wanted to check on you," Sarah replied, handing him the cookies. "And we'd love to pray with you again if that's all right." His eyes shimmered with gratitude, and they settled into his cozy living room, a gentle breeze rustling the curtains. Sarah's daughter took his hand in hers, a childlike innocence drawing forth a spirit of hope. They prayed together, the words flowing freely, an outpouring of comfort and connection. Each prayer was like a hand reaching toward heaven, asking for solace to fill the gaps left by loss. Sarah felt her heart leap with joy as she saw how the gentleman began to breathe deeper, a burdensome weight momentarily lifted. Afterward, they sat, sharing stories and laughter as the minutes slipped by unnoticed. The connection formed was thick and tangible, a thread of compassion binding their souls together. Sarah felt the call of something greater growing within her. "Can we sing our song now?" her daughter asked, eyes bright and eager. "Sing." The gentleman's expression transformed, waiting in gentle anticipation. "Yes. It's a song of hope," her daughter chimed, her spirit blooming. With a nervous flutter in her chest, Sarah encouraged her, and soon they were filling the room with music, harmonizing with heart and soul. The elderly man listened, his eyes glistening with emotion as the melody wrapped around them, a tangible embrace of faith and love. Sarah knew, deep down, that these were not just idle moments. They were part of a grander design. In those few minutes, she sensed the divine hand at work, the creation of bonds stronger than steel being forged in the simplest of acts. As they finished, the man's hands trembled in gratitude. I haven't felt this warmth in a long time. And right then, it struck Sarah a realization that resonated with clarity. Their song, their prayers, their small acts of love, this was the miracle. It was not solely waiting to be discovered, it was happening around them all the time, shimmering brilliantly in the mundane. Later that evening, Sarah took a moment to reflect in her journal. She wrote her appreciation but also the questions that lingered. What more must we unveil? What doors await as we walk forward in faith? As she closed the journal, a sense of urgency gripped her heart. Perhaps the miracles were just beginning to unfold. The challenge now was to remain open and attentive, the following Sunday promised new beginnings. What opportunities for growth awaited them in the coming days? Could their song of hope lead to even greater miracles? The night deepened, but the air buzzed with expectation. Questions swirled in the stillness. What divine surprises might be nestled within their journey ahead? What awaited as they continued their path of unwavering faith? The next morning dawned, crisp and clear, the kind of day where one felt the world shimmer with possibility. Sarah stirred awake, a gentle warmth enveloping her like a cherished blanket. The sun's golden rays streamed through the window, illuminating the room and her heart alike. Today held a promise, she could sense it. Are you ready for today? Her daughter's voice piped up. She was already up, dressed, and buzzing with energy. The excitement in her eyes was contagious, and Sarah couldn't help but smile. Absolutely. Today is special, Sarah replied, her spirit mirroring her daughter's exuberance. They shared breakfast, the aroma of toast and fresh fruit filling the air, fueling their anticipation. After preparing the final touches for their visit to the church, they hopped into the car, their hearts beating in unison with both eagerness and hope. Today, they would share their song with the congregation for the first time. But more than the song, there was a deeper yearning. They craved the connection that came from sharing their journey with others. As they arrived, the church stood like an inviting haven against the bright backdrop of a new day. The familiar sounds of chatter and laughter greeted them as they stepped through the doors. Folks were gathering, their spirits mingling in the warmth of fellowship. Sarah looked around, noting faces she recognized. Each one held a story, a life woven with prayer and faith. She and her daughter wandered through the crowd, sharing smiles and quick hellos. She felt an invisible thread connecting them all, a tapestry rich in woven love and support. It was almost tangible, an aura of unity that surrounded the room. In that moment, she felt the weight of her earlier questions lift, replaced by a growing understanding. They weren't alone in seeking hope, they were part of something much larger. Let us find a good spot, her daughter said, tugging gently on Sarah's sleeve. They made their way to the front, where the atmosphere buzzed with expectation. The platform glimmered in the light, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah hesitated, a flutter of uncertainty sweeping through her. Remember, Sarah whispered, kneeling beside her daughter, this song is not just about us. It's our gift to everyone here. With a steadying breath, they stepped into the soft glow of the stage. The room quieted, all eyes turning toward them. Sarah's mouth felt dry, but her heart was full. Her daughter's small hand slid into hers, grounding her. It's time, her daughter said, her eyes shining bright. As they began to sing, the notes floated peacefully into the room, each syllable a prayer released. Sarah poured her heart into the melody, feeling it reverberate not only through the air but across the souls of the women and men gathered. This was their moment of communion, a reminder of hope, joy, and love. The faces of the congregation shifted as if transforming under the spell of their song. Some smiles broke into radiant beams, and many eyelids fluttered in quiet contemplation. Tears formed in some eyes, reflecting the undeniable impact of that simple, yet profound, moment. When they finished, a thick silence enveloped the room before applause erupted, joyous and heartfelt. Sarah felt a rush of warmth. It was as if they had tapped into a wellspring of divinity, highlighting the connection they shared with the community, and just then, something unexpected happened. An older gentleman stood up, his voice trembled but rang clear. You have touched our hearts, but more importantly, you have reminded us all that love is the melody binding us together. Glances exchanged, soothing smiles served, and a hum of amazement overtook the crowd. Sarah felt a wave of inspiration ripple through her. This was the miracle she had been waiting for. As they made their way back to their seats, her heart bubbled with newfound excitement. The pull of the extraordinary now thrummed beneath her skin. They had ignited something holy. Do you feel that? Her daughter murmured under her breath, the innocence of her words touching something deep within. Sarah. Yes, she whispered back, her heart swelling, but still aware that there was more on the horizon. As they settled into the gentle embrace of the church, Sarah wondered about what lay ahead. If the song had ignited this much, what else might they create? What stories were waiting in the tides of faith, just waiting for them to dive deeper? The congregation began to buzz with chatter, everyone eager to share their thoughts. Just as Sarah turned to join the conversations, an audible whisper danced through her mind: what greater surprise awaited them after this day? The warmth of the moment lingered as Sarah felt the hum of conversation swirl around her, like a gentle breeze carrying the sweet scent of blossoms. Voices filled the air, a beautiful medley of reflections and appreciation. Sarah turned to her daughter, who was beaming, eyes sparkling with joy. "Can you believe this?" her daughter asked, the child's innocence brightening the experience. "Everyone loved our song." "It was more than a song," Sarah replied softly, her voice barely breaking the warmth of the atmosphere. "It was a reminder of our shared journey, our faith. Look at everyone." She gestured around, feeling the connection that was now palpable in the room. As people gathered to share their thoughts, Sarah noticed a woman approaching them. The woman looked familiar, she often sat a few rows ahead during service. Today, her eyes glistened with emotion. "Thank you so much for today," she said, her voice full of warmth. "Your song, it brought back memories I thought I had lost. It reminded me of hope." A soft rush filled Sarah's chest, the sensation of divine goodness surrounding her. "I'm so glad," she replied. "It's what we hope to do, to create a moment of connection." The crowd thickened with chatter, and Sarah could feel the weight of stories being shared, heartaches being healed in the shared space. Each conversation was like a ripple of light, brightening the atmosphere. Suddenly, a hush fell over the congregation again as the pastor stepped forward. "May I have everyone's attention?" His voice held a gentle authority, the reverence of the space returning. Today was indeed miraculous. What we felt here was a stirring of the Holy Spirit, reminding us that love manifests in unexpected ways. The weight of his words settled in Sarah's heart. It felt as if the very air trembled with the presence of something sacred. "I don't believe this is the last of it," he continued. "In the days to come, think about what we can offer one another." Inspired murmurs floated through the crowd, resonating with Sarah's spirit. She glanced at her daughter, who smiled back, a knowing glimmer in her eyes. They had ignited a spark, but what would come next? "Let us carry this energy with us," the pastor concluded. "We will meet again soon, and I encourage each of you to pray for what may unfold." As the service ended and people began to disperse, Sarah felt that familiar sense of yearning. It buzzed with curiosity and hope. She exchanged pleasantries with familiar faces, but her thoughts drifted. "I want to do more," she whispered to her daughter as they walked toward the exit. Today was just the beginning. "Like a new song?" her daughter asked, her voice bright with innocence. "Exactly like that," Sarah said, her heart racing at the thought. "But God may have more in store for us. What if this was just a glimpse into what we could achieve together?" Feeling invigorated, they stepped out into the sunlight, the warmth enveloping them in a soft embrace. They lingered for a moment, absorbing the joy in the air. "Mom," her daughter said suddenly, a flash of insight illuminating her features. "What if we asked everyone to join us next time? To share their stories?" Sarah paused, the idea blossoming in her mind. "That could be beautiful," she said, imagining the congregation lifting their voices together, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences. But as they stood there, a gentle breeze swept past, whispering a reminder that in the divine intake of faith, more awaited their engagement. Would their new song be one of unity, of shared dreams, and would it resonate beyond the church doors? They didn't have the answers yet, but as they drove home, anticipation coursed through Sarah. A new chapter awaited, one where miracles could manifest even in their small town, yet in that space of excitement lingered the question, what other surprises did God have waiting for them just around the next bend? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the world in hues of gold, Sarah found her heart racing with possibilities. The drive home was filled with her daughter's laughter, a symphony of innocent joy that resonated deep within Sarah's spirit. They turned onto their street, and Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "Imagine all the stories we could hear," her daughter mused, her voice bright with excitement. "Each one is like a little treasure." "Yes, and every treasure tells us more about God's love in our lives," Sarah responded, her mind swirling with ideas. That evening, Sarah gathered the family at the dinner table. The aroma of the meal filled the air, but it was the spirit of anticipation that made the night feel different. "Tonight, let us thank God for the beauty we experienced today," she suggested, reaching for her daughter's hands. As they prayed, Sarah felt a warmth enveloping them, as if they were surrounded by a comforting embrace. She closed her eyes and was taken aback by many voices, harmonizing together. Could it be that they were meant to share a time of testimony? The thought sent shivers of excitement coursing through her. After dinner, Sarah sat down to pen her thoughts. "What if we don't just ask people to share their stories next time," she wrote, "but invite them to express their faith through art? Songs, poems, paintings, anything that is their truth." The words flowed effortlessly, like an unrestrained river of inspiration. Days passed, and a sense of urgency unfurled in Sarah's heart. She felt a divine pull to act. With her daughter at her side, they began to plan a night of sharing, a celebration of the Spirit, encouraging everyone in the congregation to offer their gifts. When Sarah announced the idea to the church community, the response was instantaneous. Murmurs of excitement and curiosity buzzed through the crowd. People began to sign up, overflowing with willingness to participate. As the date approached, Sarah felt a surge of energy unlike anything she had experienced before. She watched as individuals transformed, shedding doubts about their talents. A quiet man who often sat in the back spoke up to share a verse he had written. An elderly woman approached with tears of joy, clutching a hand-painted canvas that depicted a sunrise breaking through dark clouds. Every single story matters, Sarah thought to herself, her heart swelling. It was beautiful to witness raw faith in action. The night of the gathering arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Each voice that rose was an offering, each song a prayer. The community became a choir of hope, resonating with emotional truths. As Sarah listened, her heart swelled with pride and joy. But then, as a hush fell over the space, a curious thing happened. An outsider, a man she barely recognized, stood and asked if he could share. "Of course," Sarah whispered, unsure what was to come. His voice trembled, but it carried courage. "I've been lost for a long time," he admitted, eyes glistening. "But tonight, I feel something I haven't felt in years." A wave of emotion washed over the room. The sincerity of his struggle and the vulnerability of his honesty whispered the truth of the community's spirit. Tears flowed freely as others responded, sharing their own battles, all igniting the collective hope they had nurtured together. As the evening wore on, Sarah stepped back, overwhelmed with gratitude. They had woven a tapestry of divine connection, revealing that every struggle was a stepping stone toward grace. But just before wrapping up the gathering, a sudden thought flashed through Sarah's mind, a stirring, a reminder of something greater still waiting to unfold. What will we do next? She wondered. How can we continue this momentum? And in that moment, a glimmer of a new adventure began to take shape, hinting at even more mysteries ahead. What could this growing spirit of community lead to, and how would it transform their lives even further? As the last rays of sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the church grounds, Sarah stood transfixed, enveloped in a wave of gratitude and anticipation. The night of sharing had been a resounding success, a symphony of spoken faith and creativity woven through heartfelt stories. Each voice had been an offering, and the magic of their unity lingered in the air like the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Yet, beneath the joy lay a holy urgency tugging at Sarah's heart. Something deeper was stirring within her. Could this be just the beginning? What if the stories shared were seeds waiting to sprout into something monumental, a call from the divine to continue nurturing their community in ways they had yet to imagine? As she watched her daughter chase fireflies in the fading light, a smile broke through the soft veil of contemplation. "Mama, can we do this every week? I want everyone to sing and share more." The innocent excitement in her voice melted Sarah's heart, igniting a flicker of inspiration. "Yes, sweetheart. We will," Sarah replied, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "We shall create a space where hearts can connect, where voices can be heard, where love manifests with each shared story." The next morning, Sarah awoke with renewed fervor. The soft glow of dawn painted the room pink and gold, reminding her of promise and new beginnings. She grabbed her journal, inside which her dreams and thoughts spilled across pages heavy with hope. "Lord, guide this vision," she prayed silently, sensing the beauty of believing that even the smallest actions could change lives. The following Sunday, Sarah approached the pastor, her heart racing with excitement. "I have an idea." She explained her vision of weekly gatherings and open space for testimonies, art, and community connection. The pastor's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "This is beautiful, Sarah. We must invite the entire town. Let it be known the church is a place of nourishment, a garden where faith grows." Day by day, they spread the word. Flyers with vibrant colors adorned the community boards, while personal invitations fluttered from hand to hand. The anticipation was electric. Sarah marveled at how people began to share their visions, poets composing verses, musicians crafting melodies, artists pouring colors onto canvas. It was as if a river of creativity and unity surged through the town, inviting everyone to take part. On the night of the first gathering, the church buzzed with excitement. Faces lit with fervor filled the pews, breathing whispers of hope into the atmosphere. Sarah could hardly contain her joy as she watched friendships rekindle, families unite, and individuals rise to share their stories. Each act was a masterpiece, cultivated from pain, joy, laughter, and tears. As the evening waxed on, a woman stood to share her testimony. "I battled loneliness, but today, I find strength in the stories we share. They make me feel alive." Her voice quavered with emotion, a sacred vulnerability spilling forth that echoed through the hearts of those gathered. The congregation erupted with applause and words of affirmation that ricocheted like divine light, filling every crevice with warmth and connection. Each story, each piece of art became a thread weaving them into something beautiful, a tapestry of faith. And then, toward the end of the evening, Sarah felt a familiar tug at her spirit. A young man she hadn't seen before stood shyly at the back, his eyes reflecting an earnest hope. "Can I share?" he asked, and the entire room fell silent, leaning in with anticipation. As he spoke, Sarah could see the layers of pain and heartache being stripped away with each word. "I struggled with isolation and despair. But tonight, I realize, I am not alone anymore. You all have inspired me. I want to be part of this." The room erupted once more, a wave of love flooding toward him, healing in its embrace. In that moment, Sarah understood the impact of their efforts. The miracles were not just individual acts but a collective awakening. Each testimony, each song, each shared smile was a siren call, drawing people toward hope and unity. As the gathering drew to a close, Sarah's heart surged with the understanding that this was a movement of the Spirit, a divine connection bridging lives together. "Let us continue to grow together," she cried, the energy palpable. "Let us continue to share our gifts, our stories, our love. Let us be vessels of grace." And with those words lingering in the air, the congregation echoed back with a resounding yes. "Together, we grow." That night, under the vast, starry sky, Sarah felt a peace settle within her heart, filling the spaces that had once been haunted by doubts. They were bound together now in faith, connected by a tapestry too beautiful to comprehend. All at once, she comprehended that their journey had transformed them, leading them into a season of miracles yet to unfold, a journey of divine purpose and love. As Sarah and her daughter walked home, hand in hand, gazing upward at the shimmering stars, she felt a surge of excitement. Each star represented a story, a connection, an opportunity to impact lives in ways they had yet to discover. This was their moment, the sacred call to action woven through the fabric of their lives. With hearts united and faith ignited, they stepped boldly into the unknown. And now, dear friends, it is time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this divine message. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. The journey continues, and you are part of it.